everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Orly, and in today's video I'm going to share my intuitive eating journey with you. I'm going to divide this video into 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be about why I started intuitive eating. Part 2 is going to be about the journey itself, and part 3 is going to be about where I am now and what I intend to do moving forward. So I decided to start intuitive eating a year ago because my relationship with food was really messed up. Like, it was borderline kind of getting into eating disorder territory. I wouldn't say I had an eating disorder, but my behaviors around food and my mindsets around food were extremely problematic. First of all, I was counting calories every day, and that behavior became very obsessive for me, and it's something that I felt like I couldn't stop doing it. I had to do it all the time. I couldn't really eat anything without putting it in MyFitnessPal. And that resulted in me getting a lot of anxiety when I had to eat out or eat at a restaurant or even eat things that were like mixed, because I couldn't figure out the calorie breakdown in those foods. So that started giving me a lot of anxiety, and I kind of started avoiding social events like birthdays and things like that. So it wasn't really healthy for me, and in many other ways as well. It was impacting my physical health. Even like, I was really low on energy. At one point in time, I even thought I had, chronic fatigue syndrome, because I was exhausted all the time because I wasn't eating enough. So moving on to part 2 is the actual journey itself. So when I started eating intuitively, the first thing I did was I stopped counting calories, and I started introducing what I call my fear foods. Those fear foods are basically foods that I had a kind of like a restriction on, that I wouldn't allow myself to have. Like, I wouldn't keep these foods inside the house, because I thought that if I had these foods in the house, I would just eat them out of control and I'll just binge. So I started eating those foods, and I remember that the first thing I bought was Tim Tams. If you're in Australia, you would know what Tim Tams are. If you're not, Tim Tams are just like chocolate biscuits. And I remember 5-6 years ago, I used to binge on Tim Tams, so I kind of stopped buying Tim Tams, and that was the first thing I did. So I bought a pack of Tim Tams and I tried them, and I was really surprised. Like, it didn't taste the same as it did 5 years ago, and I didn't actually end up binging on it. But there were other foods that I would say I would not binge but eat quite a lot of initially, but over time those foods kind of became just normal, and I kind of stopped seeing them as special. So initially, even though I stopped tracking calories, and I was eating a lot more forbidden foods, I was still subconsciously compensating for that by over exercising. And I wasn't even aware of it at the time that I was doing that, but I was trying to get my steps up. I was wearing a step tracker. I tried parking my car further away from work, so I would have to walk more. I was doing a lot of additional exercise to try to slow down the weight gain. And at that point in time, I was gaining weight, but not super fast. I would say I was gaining weight at a rate of 0.5 kilo every month. It's not until probably June, July that I really let go of that fear of weight gain. And when I actually embrace that process and I embrace the weight gain, that's when I didn't stop exercising, but I didn't exercise to compensate and by fear of weight gain. Exercise became more of a joyful movement for me. It was more about, staying fit. It was about how it made me feel, having more energy, etc., for mental health as well. And that is when I really started gaining a lot of weight. So at that point in time, I started gaining weight at a rate of about 1 kilo every single month. Since intuitive eating, I would say I have gained over 12 kilos. I was actually weighing myself every month, and that's how I know I was gaining weight, 1 kilo every month. But towards December, I kind of stopped weighing myself every month because I didn't feel like I needed to keep doing that. And sometimes I weigh myself still out of curiosity, but not every single month. So now I try to weigh myself maybe every 3-4 months, just to see where I am. And I'm curious to see whether my weight stabilizes as well, because with intuitive eating, the longer you've been on intuitive eating, the more likely your weight is to stabilize and not change. So I don't think I'm going to continue gaining weight forever and ever and ever. I think that eventually my weight will stabilize. So yeah, that's why I'm keeping an eye on the scales, just to see if that's start to happen. But yeah, I don't weigh myself all the time. In terms of body image, initially when I started gaining weight, my body image was very impacted in a negative way. Like, I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, and my body image wasn't good initially, but I would kind of not focus so much on body image. Like, I would just focus on other things, focus on hobbies, or focus on working on my mental health, and just took the focus away from my body changing. I would wear a lot of baggy t-shirts in the gym. I'd wear lots of like baggy clothes all the time so that it wouldn't be so obvious to me that I was gaining weight. But this is really different now. Like, my confidence, my body confidence and my body image has really, really improved, which is mind-blowing to me, because I am so much bigger now, but I'm also a lot more confident in my own skin. And now I'm not scared to wear tight-fitting clothes. Like you can see here, I'm not afraid to show off my arms, and my arms used to be like a massive insecurity for me. Like, when I was thinner, my body image was actually not better than it is now. I was always self-conscious. Like, every summer I would do like a diet to sculpt down for the beach and stuff, and now I don't really do that anymore. Like, I'm very confident and happy with the way I look. So my body image has really improved. Yeah, so this journey had a lot of positives. My relationship with food has been amazing. I don't have anxiety around foods anymore. I don't feel obsessed with food. Like, I don't have cravings and stuff like that. I don't binge anymore. I don't overeat, in the sense that I don't eat to the point where I'm really, really full and uncomfortable. Like, when I eat now, like, I can really listen to my cues. Like, when I'm full, I stop eating, so that side has been really, really positive, and my mental health has improved a lot as well as my energy levels. Like, I have more energy to do things. But it hasn't just been good things. There's been some negative things as well that's happened. So for example, I started snoring. Weight gain can cause snoring, and it can cause sleep apnea, which is not good for my health. The other thing that I've noticed as well is I get really, really hot. Like, prior to gaining weight, I was always cold. Like, I couldn't deal with how cold it was, but now I'm experiencing it the other way around. Like, I'm always too hot, and I get really uncomfortable with the heat. Okay, so moving on to part 3, which is where I am now and what I intend to do moving forward. So like I said just now, there's been a lot of positives with intuitive eating, such as improved confidence and body image, as well as my relationship with food has been amazing. But there's also some negatives as well, and some health concerns as well, but I intend to keep an eye on those and keep monitoring those. I may in the future consider weight loss again if my health gets worse, but it's going to be a last resort thing. Like, for example, with snoring and a sleep apnea, like, I'm going to do a little bit more research into that and see whether there's other things that I can do before just jumping onto weight loss, because there's no guarantee that weight loss will actually stop me from snoring. And I'm pretty sure I was snoring when I was thin, but just not as much. It's just increased a lot recently, that's all. So I do not intend to go on a diet or intentionally try to lose weight. I'm actually really trying to see if my weight will stabilize on its own on intuitive eating. And there is also this theory that I might be experiencing overshoot weight, in which case my weight may naturally go down on its own without me having to diet. I don't intend to intentionally try to lose weight at all at this point in time, and there's a few reasons for that as well. The first one is I feel like if I intentionally try to lose weight, there's a very, very good chance that I would end up regaining the weight later on down the track, and that would just end up in weight cycling and yo-yo dieting. Based on my history with yo-yo dieting, and I can tell you, I've been on a diet on and off on diets for the past 10 years, and each time I went on a diet I lost weight, but then I end up regaining weight, and every time I regain weight I gain even more weight than before. And so I'm really reluctant to try another diet because I'm fairly sure that this is just going to result in weight cycling, like based on my past history, but also based on what we know about, like, statistically, a lot of people don't sustain weight loss in the long term, and a lot of people do end up regaining a lot more weight. So I don't really want that to happen. Secondly, weight cycling has also been associated with other health issues as well. And finally, weight loss or intentional weight loss puts me at risk of going back to this disordered eating, that messed up relationship that I had with food that I was telling you about earlier. Like, if I go back on a diet, there's a risk that it's going to turn into that again. And if I continue down that path, that can lead to an eating disorder. And I am at a high risk of developing an eating disorder myself, since I've had an eating disorder in the past. So you've got to consider all these things. You know, if you've had an eating disorder in the past, then you are at a slightly higher risk of developing one. And on top of that, if you're trying to lose weight, that can further increase your risks. So for me, there's way too many reasons as to why I shouldn't be pursuing intentional weight loss right now. So that was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched this video and made it that far, please consider liking this video, sharing it with people who you believe this might help, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.